everyone, I'm Len Woolston. I am a writer, blogger, and nerd. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I juggle multiple writing projects. Juggling multiple writing projects is not for the faint of heart. I've mentioned in previous videos that I'm a pretty ambitious gal when it comes to my writing and in my aspiration to make writing my career. So I don't know if you are aware, but I'm actually working on, it will be my 4th complete novel, and I'm in the editing phase right now. And so this isn't like it's my first project, which means that I have multiple projects going on between some that are being queried and still considered, and then having this new project that I'm working on. There's always something for me to work on. And would you believe it or not, but right now, even though I'm in the editing phase of one novel, I'm actually in the planning stages for what will be my next novel after this one. So I'm here today to just kind of impart my wisdom and experience when it comes to all having multiple writing projects and how I juggle them all. Tip number 1 is to stay organized. I know for a lot of people, the whole concept of organization is just very overwhelming. But what I mean when it comes to your writing projects is to be organized with them, to have this separate folder for each book idea, and to have just anything that you do for your planning process, whether that you do plan and outline everything, or you just kind of go by the seat of your pants but have some kind of inspiration. Keep all of those one spot for all of those ideas for your one book at a time. That really helps. And I am somebody who just has to outline everything, and so I particularly for myself find it very helpful if I kind of like color coordinate story ideas with, like, because I use notebooks, and so I have a colored notebook for each one of my ideas, so I know that this particular color kind of just helps with keeping those thoughts organized to any kind of post-it notes that I have, notebooks like I said, and all of that. It just keeps it all complete in knowing that that's the one spot that I'm going to look for this particular book idea, while I have the same kind of system going for my other projects. Tip number 2 is to create inspiration boards. Now, I'm a huge advocate for using Pinterest as a means to creating an inspiration board by putting different images that I collect. And again, I keep those organized by having separate folders that are in store for having all of those images and just all that inspiration. Another thing that I do is I create playlists of songs that kind of help me for each individual book idea, because for me, when I am juggling through all these different projects, and let's say I'm editing this one, but then I'm going to be planning a new one, or I go back and decide that I want to do a rewrite of another one that's older, having these inspiration boards really helps. It really helps set the tone for me. It helps me to get really acquainted with the characters that are in that story, and so it's a really good idea to create inspiration boards for each of your projects. Tip number 3 is to schedule your projects. Now, this can mean that, okay, if you already have a dedicated writing time and you have multiple projects, if they're book ideas, or maybe you have a blog, or whatever it is that you have all writing related that are kind of in different projects, you can schedule your time so that you can either allocate a certain amount of time per week or per day to each project that you want to be working on. So for me, I have my time where it's like, okay, for these days, these are going to be on my novel that's like my current work in progress, but then maybe I'll schedule some evenings where I just kind of want some time to browse on Pinterest, or, you know, start with that creating the inspiration board, or maybe it's like outlining and all of that. I'll have different times so I don't feel overwhelmed thinking that I have to do all of it in the one block of time that I have for my writing. So there are some days that maybe I will work on this particular story, but then other days I'm working on this other story. But it all has to do with the fact that I am going towards my goals of doing writing, but by being practical in the sense of needing to schedule your time makes it so that you don't get overwhelmed. The other thing to note when it comes to scheduling your projects is to create deadlines for yourself. I know it's not something that is what you really want to hear, but having deadlines kind of just makes it so that you have that goal, you have that date that you want to meet that goal, and it also just creates that habit of knowing that, okay, I need to take this seriously. So be sure to set deadlines for each of your projects with your scheduling. Tip number 4 is to take notes often. There are so many times that when I am in doing one project and I have to do some other project, whether it's writing related or not, being a mom and working and everything, I get interrupted a lot. So I will constantly be making notes of where I am before I will go and do whatever it is else that I need to, because it really helps with knowing that, okay, here's where I was in the story, here's what I was doing and everything, so that when I can come back to that project, then I have it already kind of in my outline form of like, okay, these were the steps that I was doing, and this is what I'm getting back to. So that definitely helps me to just stay on track by knowing that, okay, if I look back on my notes that I've saved, then I'll have an idea of where we keep moving forward without having to go back and backstep and all of that. And lastly, tip number 5 is don't take on too much. Taking on multiple writing projects, again, isn't for the faint of heart, like I mentioned. It's not something that is required of you, but if you're finding that you do have multiple projects, try to make sure that you don't take on too much. This may mean that even if you have multiple projects, that you kind of put one on the back burner for the time being, so you can focus on the one that you have that you're currently working on, so that you could get that completed before jumping on to the next one. Sometimes that happens with me where I have to, even though I want to and I am being really good about, juggling all of this, sometimes I have to just put one aside. Right now, that's my blog. Has been kind of put aside because I've been working on other things, and that's completely fine to do. Don't take on too much, because once you trade in your passion for just work, it creates a lot of stress. And so I think a lot of people just get so overwhelmed with that, thinking that they have to get all of this stuff done in a short amount of time. And so if you're finding yourself in that spot, don't worry, put on the back burner what you can so you can focus on getting one thing done at a time. So now you know exactly how I juggle all of these multiple writing projects. I hope that this was helpful to you who are out there who are also trying to juggle multiple projects at one time. Go you, keep being ambitious, you got this. And I just want to say thank you so much for checking out my channel. Go ahead and give this video a like if you enjoyed it so you can support my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on your way out so you don't miss any of my videos. With that, I hope you have a wonderful weekend and an even better week. And until next video, bye!